quitting the wrong thing has a higher ROI than starting the right thing.
Interesting. Expound on
I'm going to run that back. Yeah. Quitting the wrong thing has a higher ROI than starting the right thing.
You're listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Camuno here, and we are back with... Wait, that's not how I do it.
That's it.
Oh, what's good, everybody? It's Alex Camuno here, and we are back with episode 113 of the Money Monopolizers podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Doing great. Glad to be back in your land, San Antonio, man. This is going to be a great episode. I already know that, but we just coming off of Thanksgiving weekend, so I really enjoyed it. My uncle actually came into town with my dad's brother, like long lost brother.
Oh yeah, so, uncle cousin.
Yeah, uncle cousin, like we like to call him. Yeah. Because ironically, he about to be our age this so this comes out in December. So yeah, it'll be 25 this month. So yeah, it's a whole story behind that. But no, I was glad to see him. Glad to enjoy time with family. You came into town too for back into Houston. Yeah. Spent some time with some friends. So it was very chill this past week. And I was really just saying that everything's going good right now though. How about you?
No, I'm doing great. I'm is it November 29th, Monday, November 29th when we're recording this. Yeah, we just had Thanksgiving last week, and it was it was good, man. It was good because obviously, eating good food is always, I never have an issue with that. So, going back home for that was, good to see, all the fam and, all the extended family, friends, all that kind of stuff. So, I ate well. I will say that I ate well, and, I got my to-go plates, and
I'll finish comment on this.
They gon' no, hold on. Actually though, because people were saying that, because I don't know how y'all do it, but like
I want y'all to be in the comment section heavy on this.
For me, I usually when I go to Thanksgiving, I go get the food. Mm-hmm. No, okay, so let me back up actually a little more. So every year in Thanksgiving, because I don't have really anybody that lives around me, like family or really any close, people like that. So I always go to Houston or somewhere else. And when I go, I make multiple stops. So usually, got to go to the first stop, which is like, fam, extended fam. You know what I'm saying? We eat lunch about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, chill over there a few hours. Boom, get my 2 to-go plates, to-go trays,
to-go boxes.
To-go boxes. There we go. Like they legitimately have to-go boxes. Yeah, because there's be so much food. So I'm
be buying them. I swear. Go bring them to the house.
Key, I'll be bringing them.
You don't want no plates and no aluminum foil. You want the box.
Low key, bring them with me. I buy them at the store and then
go to Sam's Club on your way out.
Stop. No, but they had them, so I got to fill them joints up. I was like, cool. This is going to last me a good amount of time. And cool. First stop, we're done. Second stop, usually go to Marlon's house. And then from there, might eat dinner. It's usually 8 o'clock. What time did I eat this week? It was like 8, 9.
Yeah, you ate a little bit later. You was full, obviously.
Yeah, hey, look, I will say I'm not, high. I'm not like, things are changed from back in the day. Like I used to go crazy on it, but I don't eat like that no more. Just because I don't really have to. But anyways, go there. Usually, I'll get a couple to-go plates there too. But
we over here starving. Like looking for our food. Like where our food at right now? Alex over here. All right, y'all.
So I usually get a couple to-go plates from there. Boom. And then usually we'll go to make a third stop. Usually around 10, 11 o'clock at night. Go to one of our other friends' house. Boom. Get a couple plates over there too. I'll probably eat super late if I'm really feeling it, and then eat some dessert, and then get 2 to-go plates from there too. So boom, just like that, I have now set up my entire next week for meals. I've set up my entire week. I'm good to go for the whole week. So now come back, I got food for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
You didn't even count Saturday, like
because usually I'm still eating. I'm still eating other people's. I still got my.
You got your plates.
I got my to-go plates in the fridge. I'm still eating other food.
Boy, they got like 5 meals off of one person. That one person used to be me.
And then and then I come back, boom. I got my meal for the week. Now, I was recently told that you're only supposed to eat Thanksgiving leftovers until Monday, which in theory will be today.
That's correct.
So that pretty much destroyed my entire plan for the week. So I had to pretty much eat all my leftovers yesterday, and so I finished them all because I'm not trying to get food poisoning. So that's really, that's in essence how that's usually what I do. And it's never been an issue, but now they poison my mind thinking thinking I'm gonna get food poisoning.
I think it's a lot of power in how you think though, because you've literally done that same ritual since you've been in college, I believe.
Yeah,
just because of the fact that you come back home, or no, when you are in San Antonio,
for the last
you don't
6 years
have anybody to eat with like that. So
right.
You want to have enough food. Like I understand completely the philosophy of not wanting to cook, especially after Thanksgiving. All these people got food, so yeah. I understand that. So before you would always do it, but now you have new information. Now your brain is thinking like, okay, well, they said don't do this, so now that's tainted. I guess altered the way that you approach it. And I don't know if I would be very curious to see like what would happen if you had ate something by Wednesday, like you planned on, or by Friday, and see what would have happened.
See, I've done it before though.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And I think it's low key probably a placebo though, because
that's exactly it.
Because I think like I legitimately could have done it, and like I'm gonna be real, unless like the food starts like smelling some type of way. You keep it in the freezer and you good money until you actually need to heat it up. But unless the food starts smelling some type of way, then I'd be like, all right, man, I'm not eating that. But I pulled it out yesterday. I was like, man, this is good, man. And usually I could eat it, but nah, I think it could have been a placebo thing where it's like, maybe I can like, I don't know. Maybe I feel like there's a way where you can kind of not necessarily trick your way into getting sick, but you can think that you're sick when you're not really, and you can start feeling like symptoms of sickness.
Exactly.
So I was like, I was just like, man, forget it. It's just whatever. So I ended up buying groceries when I got back yesterday. So I was like, well, it's gonna be a normal week, I guess.
I would love for anybody to say in the comment section, when is the cutoff day for Thanksgiving leftovers? Because a lot of people like to have that discussion. I'll be seeing that on TikTok all the time. Like, you go ask your mom what you eating this week or something like that, and she'd be like, you still got some Thanksgiving leftovers, right? But it's Tuesday of next week. Shoot. It's like, bro, like when we gonna change it up?
Man, I eat them things again. If I could,
yeah, I
eat them things until Christmas. All right. No, I'm playing. I wouldn't eat them until Christmas. That's forced. But no, I would eat it for the next week though. A week, I think you good money on a week. You gotta just freeze it.
Yeah, now if you freeze, that's a different story. That's what we were talking about too back at the house. Like, if you freeze it, now you.
But I have never froze it. But
right,
it makes sense to. I kept it in the fridge and it's never been an issue. Mm-hmm. But if you freeze it, then low key I could really squeeze out an extra week. But I just would have ran out of food by then. Yeah, I'm not really trying to sit here and ration. Right. I ain't. I get leftovers, but I ain't get enough for that. So anyways, yeah, that was how Thanksgiving has been. So it was good though, man. I enjoyed being back in Houston, seeing everybody kind of taking a slight break. And one thing I also want to say this real quick too. Every time I go home for Thanksgiving, and I'm able, every single year it happens, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, where like I get really motivated by the holidays and Thanksgiving, because I know that in a few years, like I literally envision, for the last 2-3 years, I've envisioned like with my family, like in my dream house, having Thanksgiving, having Christmas. I literally envision that because I see my dream house on my wall every day, and I can already I envision it, decorated and everything set up for like Thanksgiving, having all the family and friends. Like I envision that, and that motivates me to like continue pushing for getting to that next level. Like it's like I get like really vivid visions in my head about some like specific things in life. Like I get super specific about things, and I think I encourage people to do that. Like I encourage you to really be specific about your
So is there power in manifesting?
That is not manifesting.
Like, I see a vision before it ever comes true, and I know I have to have the action along with it. I'm curious on your perspective.
I have nothing against manifestation, but my only thing about manifestation is that people like to use manifestation as if it's like a substitute for implementing work.
Okay.
So it's like, look, you can manifest, but as long as you're backing it up with action, then manifest all day. I don't necessarily tell people manifest because, like, I don't. Maybe you can call. Is that what I'm doing? If you call what I'm doing manifesting, I don't even call it that because it's like,
yeah.
I think manifesting is more so like something that you like think is not really even attainable, but you're envisioning it in your life. Like I envision myself literally doing certain. Like I envision myself making a certain amount of money because I literally envision myself waking up and checking my bank account and seeing deposits, seeing my owners draw. Like, because I know what the structure looks like, I can literally envision it and see it. So I encourage people to really get really specific and vivid about the vision and the specifics about what they want in life, because it happens when you get that specific. If you want to call it manifestation, by all means, then go ahead. But I don't necessarily indulge in that.
Yeah, I have nothing against it. Like I think that really encompasses a lot of the philosophies that we set like as the foundation of whether it's having a why, whether it's starting with the end in mind, whether it's be, do, have. All of these things require you to first envision a greater life than what you currently have.
Right.
And then, but the most important thing that we always talk about is doing the action in order to get there after you've envisioned it. So
exactly.
I think that is extremely key. I just like to poke fun at the fact about you with like, the manifesting. But it has also truth to it. Like you don't want people to only manifest or only say, I claim this energy or I'm just claiming this, but never do anything to accompany it. So that's the difference.
Bro, people love to be on TikTok talking about, I claim this.
Yes, I claim this energy.
Like, what does that mean? Like you claim it, I'm not giving it to you. Like who are you claiming it from? So anyways, yeah. But yeah, that's all I like I said, I get really motivated by the holidays and like those kinds of things, because I can see myself, with my wife and kids and like all that kind of stuff and that whole setup, man. I just love it, man. So yeah. So yeah, man. Blah, 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 blah. Wait, we still have an episode. So,
all right, that's it for this episode.
Right. So we still got an episode. And so what, we're going to do as far as, like we do every week, we're going to get into our business updates.
It's time. Keep them posted.
Okay, so it is now end of November. I feel like I've been saying that for so long, or I've been saying it's like the end of the year. So we got 4 weeks left in the year now. Getting close into 2022, which is super exciting. And I think there's so many things going on at the end of this year, and also leading into the new year. But in specific for you and your business, what has been like the new updates since, as far as like since the last time we spoke, or did the podcast, which was a couple weeks ago?
So ever since we last spoke, I swear there was a lot that actually did happen. I'm gonna go into just a bit of it because it'll be a whole segment, a whole episode in itself.
Yeah.
But just like first of all, I really understood the difference between somebody who's like on their mission, like as far as building a business, versus the infopreneur. There's like two different. There's entrepreneur and infopreneur, and like sometimes once you start teaching information,
you talk about when you say infopreneur, you're talking about like someone that is just like
explain
coaching.
Yeah,
and,
so like the coaches,
selling information courses. Those
exactly. So there's the course. That's why they have actually a bad name, because like course sellers or people that just only give out digital products, what they tend to do, and this is something that I really like learned and had to like digest and not have a whole sermon on it.
Right.
You'll do the work inside the business for so long, then all of a sudden. So you start teaching it, and you start I guess maneuvering from the actually doing the physical work to teaching it to other people, but you neglect to continue to build the actual business itself. And so I kind of had that realization as I was going through like this past month, and I said, okay, I think this really comes from having a level of self-awareness, is understanding like what is going on at any given time, and then understanding like the ramifications of it. So what I ended up doing was I ended up transitioning back more so into the just straight up rental cars only. Like for me, my business is all about rental cars and expanding. And so for this upcoming month, And I have two main goals. First is to continue to systematize everything that we have in our business, meaning that I'm really looking to start expanding like into hiring our first representative to like do all the cleaning and all the refueling and stuff like that. And what that's going to require is for me to have just pretty much an entire systemized process for how they do it. That's essentially the SOPs, and I'm just refining that now to the point where I'll be able to be on board starting in a new year. But then secondly, and more importantly though, I'm looking to continue to get the right vehicles to add to our fleet. Because one thing that has really happened this past couple weeks, this was a game changer for me, is that on Turo, we got elevated to Turo Power Host. And as a power host, what happens is you start to, you get a whole account manager assigned to you. That account manager has the entire pulse of the market. Mm-hmm. So now he can see all of the different cars that are in the market and which ones perform the best in every tier. So from the lowest tier, like $10 to $20,000 cars, all the way up to $100,000 cars. So now what happens is we can take what he knows and start partnering with other people and tell them the best cars that are in the market. That way, when they choose a joint venture with us, we can inform them correctly on what cars to get. That way, they can get the best return on their investment, and we can continue to run the business. And now we can really start expanding. So that, in essence, is really what I'm focused on for the next month. For like closing out the year, that's all I'm focused on. Yeah. Like, I'm really putting the consulting side to the curb for now because I really want to focus in on scaling the business. And so that's really like kind of where I've been for the past couple of weeks ever since we did the last episodes. But that's really where my focus has shifted now to.
So what made you kind of want to transition from that? Because, I mean, I know a lot of people, you know, they see like the whole digital products and the selling the courses. Mm-hmm. And that is like, you know, that can be a lot more lucrative than the actual bit. Like selling it, we know it. Like, let's keep it real. We know selling information can make a lot more money than even the actual business. Like that's why a lot of people actually become, you know, consultants in their field of expertise. Mm-hmm. Even some people sooner than they should. So what made you actually like want to do that? Like
that's a really good question, to be honest. So it's a few things, but ultimately it's understanding that you have enough information to teach at this level. But as you continue to scale, you will inevitably run into new problems. You'll run into new things that you haven't seen before, right? And that's going to give you more experience to become more of an expert in that field. Right. And as we continue to scale, I truly envision us having over 50 cars next year. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. But that's because we focus in and also understanding that a business that's already like we always talk about, once a business is exponential in growth. Yeah. So the more you focus and get the right information, the more you start to scale. So we already have a great head of steam with the rental car business, and like the consulting and stuff, that was pretty much just getting off the ground. Like I know the potential of it, so I'm not saying that it's never going to happen or like we're not going to put any time into it ever.
But now's not the time.
Now's not the time, in my opinion. Yeah. I think so. Like the master classes and stuff that we were doing, I'm not going to do those. We might still like even put out the program that we have, like the 6-week program, as far as the course, for lack of a better term. Right. Like that will still be there, but as far as us being like in the day-to-day of that, it's not so much, because I think that if we put a lot more of that time and energy and effort into the actual business of it all, it's going to really, really see exponential growth. Yeah. And I can see, and especially after having TJ on too, like episode 111, he showed really what it looks like to have one of these type of businesses or these peer-to-peer businesses, and showing how that can look like at scale. Like what he said, one of his girls had like 200 Airbnb units, owned none of them, but sold it for over $1 million.
One of his friends.
I said girl, right?
So I'm only saying that so people don't think like, damn, this dude got multiple girlfriends.
No. It was one of his friends that is a girl. Yeah. It's not a girlfriend, but friend that's a girl. Yeah. She sold it for like over $1 million though. Yeah. So that is the power of when you focus in on this business until it hits that exponential growth curve, and that's what I envision us doing as we close out this year going into next year.
No, man, I like it. I mean, you know how I feel about that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a great move, and you know, it's never a wrong idea to focus more so on the business. You know, and especially when it's the business that's got you to, you know, be able to actually be a consultant or a course creator or whatever the case may be. So. Mm.
Oh yeah, the other thing with it is that I see there's a pattern though with that. A lot of people get into the infopreneur space, like the teaching and coaching and stuff like that, and then they neglect the business. Like I said, it really takes a level of self-awareness to see how you fall into that same trap as everybody else. Yeah. It's not really a trap. Like if that's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. But for me, I see that there's a lot more greater potential with building the actual business first.
Right.
And but a lot of people tend to neglect the business once they get into the teaching and consulting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, I'm a big advocate of the fact that, if you're even one step ahead of someone, then you're able to teach it.
Yep.
Essentially, because we're in an information age, and, information is really easy to convey today. So being a content creator, and by the way, teaching it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sell information. It could be your brand on social media or whatever the case may be. But if you are at one step ahead of someone, then there's someone that can resonate with you, because even more so than the bigger people, right? So if let's say we're talking about real estate, if I've done one flip, then I can teach someone that's done nothing. I can teach you something. I might not be able to teach you everything, but I can teach you something.
Exactly.
And to that person, I might resonate more to that person than the person that's done, 150 flips. Because it's kind of like, oh, that person's pretty much in the same position as me. Mm-hmm. They've just done one more flip than me, and I can do one flip, right? So I'm a big advocate of that. But again, very important to keep the business keep the main thing the main thing.
That's it.
Because at the end of the day, me personally, the way I look at business, to me, the offline business is where the real money is. That's just me personally, because I know at the end of the day, my brand is not connected to it. My personal identity is not connected to this business. So if I build a business without social media, without, content creation, without all these things in terms of like me using my likeness and my brand to build it up, then I know that business is extremely valuable. Because at the end of the day, I can sell this business. Yes. And if let's keep it real here, because a lot of people, what happens is, let's say take you for the example, mm-hmm. You're in the rental car business, you get a few rental cars, you start to sell information, you start to become a course creator, you start to become a coach, which nothing wrong with that, but let's say you do that. You see how good the money is in that, and it's like, okay, let me actually just focus on this, because I can do this at scale. Cool. What becomes your exit? Because now your business, the only reason it has any value is because of the information. It doesn't have any value because of the actual business model in terms of the rental car business. It only has value because you're selling information, because the business is evaluated based off of income. And if a majority of your income is coming from the information that you're selling and digital products, then the moment you stop doing that your business is worthless, because now you're the only reason it's doing it is because you're the one selling it, right? Mm-hmm. But as soon as you tried to sell that business or whatever, there's no value in it, because someone's looking at your financials, and it's like, oh, your revenue's coming from your courses. And if I'm going to buy the business, am I buying you with it?
Right.
Like, so you got to keep it real. And so for me, I have nothing against content creation, whatever, or selling courses, but to me, the real money in terms of the exit, long-term strategy, real value, equity, wealth, generational wealth, it's in the business at the end of the day, because the business is what's going to always stand the test of time. The business, if it's a good business and you've built it correctly from the beginning, that business isn't going to go anywhere.
Yep.
So for me personally, I y'all aren't going to see me, selling courses or nothing like that about my business or anything, just because that's not my philosophy on business at this point in time right now. Like, I'd rather focus on the business and be offline, where like, you don't even know who owns this business. That's how I like it.
Yep, and that's one thing I thought about too, with the way that we run our rental car business is already structured like that, because the most that people see of me is literally the little profile picture.
Yeah.
They think that they're communicating with me all the time just because of the picture, but it could be my dad, it could be whoever we bring on.
Right.
And because we have all of these messages systematized as far as communication piece goes, it runs without your brand likeness necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, I can continue to build my brand and push people toward it, but it can grow itself once you have, like, especially when you start implementing the things that TJ talked about a couple episodes ago, when it came as far as like getting people's information and developing recurring customers, adding value so much to where they refer you to other people. That's how you build a model offline that is not dictated by your brand likeness. So that's something I'm really focused on right at this moment.
No, man, I love it.
So yes. Love it. How about you though? How's business going?
I'm doing. Business has been good, man. Business has been good. Let's just say God is good.
That's it. It a story.
Man. Things have been really Man, just be. I don't even know how to say this, because for me, I'm not like this year. I had my goal was to do 25. I've talked about this before. My goal is to do 25,000 per month. Do that, cool. That was the goal for 2021. I get that, cool. Next goal was to do. Really, my next. If I got that, my goal for 2022 was gonna be 50,000 a month. Did that in 2021. Now it's probably going to be 3 consecutive months to end out the year that we'll do that. We'll do more than that each month, but you know, I'm not really pushing it even more. But I have just over the last few weeks, I've learned so many more things just about how I can take it to the next level that it's almost like, oh my gosh, 50,000 a month is the floor for me. Like that's my best month this year is going to be my worst month next year.
Yep.
Probably by far. And it's I'll say that again. My best month this year will be my worst month next year. You can book it. 1 year we'll come back, I'll replay this. We can, you know, put money on it. Like that's really how I feel about it because of all the things I've been developing and systematizing to create an entity that is just going to become like it's going to be a juggernaut, bro. Because to me, and I'm trying to say this in a way that's there, because I can't get into the technicalities. Like nobody's going to like care about like, the technical stuff about it. But like when you know what you're doing and you know kind of how you're structuring things and you know what it's going to lead to, and you find out new information, and that's another thing, man. Like I've been so like caught up in just learning new things about the business and the industry. Like I'm getting into the details and the technicalities of, you know, the cleaning industry in terms of KPIs and metrics and like how can I better track my analytics in the business to see where I need to improve things. So now, you know, we started up email marketing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start doing some other sort of campaigns, some new ad strategies to get, you know, more customers. Because to me, I want to have such a diversified revenue stream that like it doesn't matter what happens anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like the business will still continue to stay even when other people fall off because they have been only relying on one thing.
Yep.
And I do that because the reason I feel like I can do that is because I'm always seeking information.
I was finna hit on that.
And like bro, the business will make $50,000 a month and I'm still gonna buy a $200 course from somebody that is teaching you how to get started in the business. Like I see other people teaching how to, you know, start a cleaning business, and I'm like, yo, I'm buying that. Mm-hmm. They got something in there that I don't know. Yep. Because there's so many different ways to do things. I would be a fool to say that I know how that my way is the best way. This dude could be doing something that's like, dang, you can actually make money. You can get customers like that. Oh, you can do that to generate revenue. I need that. I'll pay $1,000 for the course. I will pay $1,000 for the course if they're saying this is how to get started. It's a PowerPoint presentation, how to get started. I'll pay the money for that information because I know at the end of the day, the difference between where I am now and where I need to go is the information that I don't have. So like, there's something that everyone has different information. I can pull from anyone. Never get so complacent that you stop learning. It doesn't matter how much money I'm making. It doesn't matter how big my business gets. I will learn from anyone. I will learn from someone that just started their business yesterday because there's something you know based off of your experiences because everyone has different experiences. There's something you know that I don't know. I need that. I need that. And so that has been my focus over the last month or so. It's just like, because there's so many like people with like 300 followers on Twitter and they like have like businesses and stuff, like service-based businesses, and they're like putting threads and like other information and putting stuff together. I'm like, dang, you could do that. You could do this to get customers. You could do this to get reviews. You could do this to do this. And it's just like, when you are in the business, you see things a certain way and you can get so tunnel vision that like a new perspective just kind of like opens things up completely, especially when I've been doing something that works really well and I figured it out and I've done it. But like, so it's easy for me to just become, I'm good, man. I already know what I don't need that, bro. So yeah, man, that's just been my focus over the last 2 weeks, man. Just trying to learn and continue to just elevate myself in terms of being like, I want to be the best, bro. I want to be the best. So that's where I'm at.
We're not about to get to the episode today. I'm just about to tell you, because after that, I got to come back with it. Because that mentality right there is literally what separates the great from the people that are just the 1% of people. Yeah. Because when you understand that any little piece of information is valuable to your business, whether it's what you were seeking or not, like, oh snap, that way of answering the phone calls just that changes your whole business model to scale to the next level. Yep. Just any little thing. Yep. Like, you're just looking for one little thing to scale your business, because your business is at a level where it's gained ahead of steam, where it's already on an exponential curve. Yeah. Any one little thing is going to just drastically shoot you up. Man. So I started thinking about this because I'm on that same wave right now. Like, I'm looking to get into every rental car group, Turo group, hire car group. I'm looking at Facebook groups. I'm looking at who has a course, who has anything that I can get information from. Right. Because I know what we're doing works really well. Yeah. But there's so much more that I have not done yet before. Yep. And that's how you continue to add information to your repertoire. That's how you add information to your business. That's how you continue to scale your business. I was so passionate about it because there was somebody who actually bought our course and bought it for one sole reason, to look for how to rent offline. And he said, I want to do a chargeback because I didn't get that particular piece of information. I'm like, yo, that course is like 6 hours long. You could have found something. But I'm like, you know what? Go ahead, take it back. Don't buy anything else from me though, because
yo, that's crazy.
By doing that messes up with the Stripe algorithm and stuff, where they look at you as like not credible or stuff. Yeah. So don't buy nothing else from me if you're gonna look to get one thing and charge back after. Anyways, though,
on a digital product, that's crazy.
Like, we have calculators that talk about how to analyze a deal. We talk about how to structure the bank accounts. We talk about how to do the SOPs. Like, there's so many things we talk about in that he could have learned from. Yeah. But he was too focused on getting that particular thing that he may have neglected learning 5 new pieces of information that we talked about in the course that could have scaled his business. And that meant, so there's just a difference in mentality. Like you said, that you would spend $1,000, even though the course taught you everything you already knew, but you had one new piece of information.
Oh yeah,
that is an entirely different mentality that a lot of people don't have. But that's really what separates the great from the excellent, in my opinion.
And that's why I don't fear competition.
Exactly.
Because I know people aren't willing to do what I'm willing to do. Like, I'm willing to do some crazy things to get to that next level. Like, yo, if we keeping it real, it's like, you have to be the top 1%. And that's really like, I'm not doing this to be good. I don't do nothing to be good. I want to be the best at it. I strive for that. If I don't get it, I know I'm going to be great. Mm-hmm. And so to be great, you cannot ever become complacent. Like, in anything you do, you can't become complacent, because the moment you become complacent, someone's going to come up right under you with a new tactic or new strategy, and you just gonna start losing market share, and you're not even gonna know what happened to you. It's just gonna happen literally right under your nose. And I think that is probably the one trait that I have that, I mean, there's a few, but like, that is like one of the ones that's like, yo, it's always going to give me a competitive edge, and it's always going to keep me ahead of the competition. Yep. It's like, I never stop learning. Never. Learning is the one thing that once you, like, I'm trying to think, there was an analogy that I had in my head, but I forgot it. To me, I always see the potential of what things, of what something has. But in order to actually, again, I know that there's a gap from where I am to where I need to get to. Mm-hmm. And I know what got me here won't get me there. In general, it may, in terms of like once you become exponential, but there's levels to it. And in order to, like, I can be in the level of like, 100,000 a month, but I don't even want that. Like, I need $1 million a month. That is a level where it's like, you need everything. Yeah. There's no piece of information that you can't afford not to have, because doing the same thing over and over, eventually, it's not going to get you to that level. So, yeah, man, that's just how I've been in terms of the business over the last week, man, or the last couple of weeks. So that's where we're going to leave it at as far as...
I told you that episode ain't finna get got.
Business updates, because we do got an episode to get. So, yeah, let's get into that. So what I wanted to talk about today was kind of an interesting topic that someone had, or it stemmed from a conversation that we had last week, just kind of based off of, the direction we're going in terms of financial freedom and building wealth. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people know that, a lot of people don't know. Maybe if you've been listening since day one, then you know that, we started in real estate. A lot of people think we just have businesses and we don't, like that's all we do, and that we don't do any real estate. No, we actually, our first thing that we actually did for financial freedom and on this journey was real estate investing, and in particular, rental properties and flipping houses.
Yep.
And so, we started that in 2018, bought a few houses, and we flipped a few houses. So in total, I know that we flipped 8 houses.
Something around there.
Yeah, it was 8. I counted earlier.
Okay.
And then we've bought collectively 4 rental properties. So you had 2. We had.
I would say 5 rental properties. 5, 6 if you count a mobile home.
I'm not counting that.
Because I want to talk about that too. So
I'm not counting that.
But so yeah, we've had our experiences in real estate.
Yeah. Anyways, that's not the point. So the point was we have a good amount of experience in real estate over the past 2 years. And so after that run, we've decided that we're not going to be buying any more properties right now. Obviously, we're going to get into why, but before that, that is the whole thing. The reason we started doing real estate was because originally the goal was going to be buy rental properties, get enough that will cash flow to cover your cost of living, and eventually, be able to retire. So my original goal was $10,000 a month in cash flow, and that would cover our cost of living, and then boom, be able to quit the job, and we'll go from there. So in theory, $200 a month per unit. That was just kind of just soft numbers. $200 a month per unit. Need 50 units to get to $10,000 a month. But as of last week, we've decided that we're not going to buy any more properties for the immediate future.
Yeah.
Not forever, but just for the immediate future. This year we had 3 or 4 flips this year, and 2 of them we lost money on. So we sold a couple in the beginning of this year, very early this year, and then we made probably the most money that we had made technically in a calendar year this year.
Facts.
And then we tried a couple other things that we don't normally do in terms of projects that are out of the normal scope, just experimenting, trying new things. Both of them ended up flopping. So the latest one, the first one was, I posted that one on my Instagram back when it happened, which was way earlier in the summer. That one was a property that, it was a complete gut. There was a fire in the back, tear down, everything, complete gut. We're going to pretty much rebuild the house pretty much. But the city came and demolished it. That kind of ruined everything and made it a loss. And then the next one we did was a high-end flip that was in a, $400,000 to $500,000 price range. That one ended up not selling for the price that we wanted to sell it for. And so it sat for a very long time because it is a very niche market in that price range. Yep. And we decided that we were going to take a loss on it just to get, cut our losses and be done with it. So we ended up losing. So the first one we lost $16,000. This one we lost $52,000. After I looked at the numbers last night. It's around $52,000 total. So, but it's funny because in theory we still made money this year, but we lost a good amount of money. Just if you want to keep it objective. But anyways, the reason we're not buying any real estate anymore is not even because of losing money. That has nothing to do with it. That's no reason at all to stop doing something. The reason is because of focusing and not being in too many things at one time. And so, like I said, originally the goal was to use real estate to get to financial freedom. So real estate for me, I have a very soft space in my heart for real estate.
Soft as cotton nail tissue.
That's Bay. I always say that's Bay number 1. And it's always going to be Bay number 1. It's very hard for me to say we're not going to buy real estate right now, but that's the decision that has to be made right now at this point in time, because you need to focus on what is working at that point in time. And being in too many different things diverts your focus from what's working and can ultimately derail that too, if you have too much attention going to other things. And look, at the end of the day, we keep it real. If you try to chase two rabbits, you're not gonna catch any. Like, as cliche as that is, it is actually true, because when your attention is literally focused in multiple different areas, nothing gets your attention then.
Yep.
Like, if I have my attention in this business, I have my attention in real estate, I have my attention in all these things, which now, I've got rid of. Y'all knew I had the trucking business. I'm still paying the cost of things that are coming up randomly in my mailbox for that. I'm getting random toll notices that the driver went through the truck, all these things. So it's like, I'm still paying the cost of that too. With the real estate, the property, still paying the cost of that too. Even though you've made the decision to get rid of it, you're gonna still be paying the cost. And that's just a consequence of doing multiple things at once too early.
I mean, I love this conversation. First of all, I'm glad that you pointed out that it had nothing to do with the fact that we lost money on a couple deals, because every single business is going to come with its problems. I don't care what business you get into, you're going to have to solve problems. If you want to scale it, if you want to have longevity in any business, you're inevitably going to run into something. So problems is not the reason why we choose to move from one business to another. The reason I wanted to point that out is because most people will get into a business, run into an obstacle, and then that's when they say it's time to pivot. Not because you ran into an obstacle. That's not the reason to pivot. That's the reason to pivot is because you see something else that especially in our case, we have something else that's working more, and we're taking too much time and attention from that main thing to focus on all these other things. That's the reason to start eliminating different ventures, not because you ran into an obstacle. Now, if you have a whole bunch of different things like we did, it comes to the point where if two things have a problem at one time, you almost want to pull your hair out. Like, if we have a renter that's late on their rent and we're trying to pursue them, but at the same time we have somebody that's moving out the mobile home even though they didn't pay, like somebody that left a mobile home, because this is our situation with the mobile home that we bought. The guy was paying rent, but then all of a sudden he stopped paying rent one day. So now we have to figure out how to either get a new tenant in there or sell it altogether. And at the same time, we're trying to build a rental car business up to 5 to 6 figures a month. And I'm like, that mobile home is bringing in $200 at on a good day, split between 4 people, because we have 4 people in that LLC. That's not worth it. And then on top of that, you got a T-shirt sale that you got to go go take in the mail to get another $25. And then minus the 10 that you spent to get it, so you net 15 on that. Then on top of that, like, it's the flip deal that we had. Like, you got to keep putting in money if it doesn't work well. All these different problems that are coming up. It's like I'm trying to build the rental car business.
Yeah.
I can't focus. Like, I want y'all to truly listen to this, because this is literally a testimony for what not to do when you get into entrepreneurship. Because a lot of people are going to do this inevitably. They're going to say, oh, multiple streams of income. I need to get a credit repair. I need to get a mobile home, get a rental car. Got multiple streams. If one goes down, still got another one. If 2 go down, you got two different problems to worry about at one time. So good luck keeping your sanity, because you still got to eat. I can give you examples of that where we don't eat because we had to handle all these different problems at one time. So that's why it's so important to focus, man. So we're selling a mobile home today. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Oh, really?
So it's officially getting sold today. Couldn't be happier. And we had found a wholesaler that was willing to do the work for us to go sell it.
Yeah.
So for all you wholesalers out there, there are motivated sellers out there who will literally just break even so they can get out of a deal. I know that's us, right? That was us, and we're just glad to get out of it. So to keep up alive on that end. But anyways, like that's my whole thing, is saying that utilize our story as a testimony for what not to do, because not saying that real estate is bad. Like, real estate is excellent. If we focused in on that, it'll be the same results as the actual business that we're running. And the same effects will go into any business. It's not about the business. It's about the attention that you give to it, and it's about your mentality when you're in it. Not so much about this business works and this one doesn't. So that was my take on it. Yeah.
So sorry, real quick. It's happens sometimes. Live, you gotta handle problems live sometimes. But hold on, give me 1 second.
Take your time, man. This will probably cut out anyway.
No,
if it's not,
we could. So I want to comment on that too, because one thing that is like, so again, it's a good point to mention that. It's a good point to mention that it's not necessarily about real estate like at all, because the thing is, the goal is the goal is to, again, the formula. Remember the formula. The 3-step formula. 9 to 5, business, assets. Business will fund assets, but you need money from the business to fund the assets. If the business is not generating any revenue, you don't get any assets. So again, it kind of goes back to what you said a while ago. Sometimes you gotta reverse to go forward in a way. And that's essentially kind of what this is. Like, I'm gonna stop buying real estate temporarily so that I can divert my attention to business, so that that business can now generate so much revenue that it'll get to a point that I will not be able to, I have so much money that I don't even know what to do with it, that I have to buy more real estate, right? And so it's not even now where, like, because the thing is, and by the way, because it doesn't matter, like, real estate could be your business that you are using to buy more real estate, right? It doesn't matter necessarily what your business is, but for us, we find the business that we want to use to buy more assets, because at the end of the day, the game is to get long-term assets, like real estate, like, you know, if you're into stocks, that cryptocurrency, those things. And so that is, at the end of the day, the foundational reason behind it. That is the sole reason to stop at this point in time and pick it up later. And that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, house hacking and all that kind of stuff. I still plan to buy, you know, more house hacks and, you know, properties that I can live in and rent out and, you know, live for free. That's nothing, because a house hack is like, I'm just living there. It's managing 1-2 tenants, big deal. Not a big deal. So that's nothing. But in terms of like the full day in, day out of managing contractors, analyzing deals,
that was it for me.
Getting financing, doing talking to property managers, realtors, all these things, having to go to closings, all those things are just nuances that get in the way of the big picture. Look, anyone that has built anything significant did not do it because anyone that's built any sort of wealth did not do it because they had five streams of work early on that they eventually grew to be big businesses all at the same time. I want someone to find me one example, honestly, of someone that ever did that, because there might be. Someone maybe has, but that is...
Bring him on a podcast. I want to recommend it to us.
Man, I would love...
figure that out.
I would love to see how you did that. But again, that is the exception, not the rule. And so I'm a firm believer in the philosophy that quitting the wrong thing has a higher ROI than starting the right thing.
Interesting. I'm
going to run that back.
Yeah.
Quitting the wrong thing has a higher ROI than starting the right thing. When I say starting, it might mean continuing. Quitting the wrong thing has a higher ROI than continuing the right thing. Yep. In the sense of, like, the time that you gain from quitting the wrong thing is going to be is going to prove insurmountable to actually building the right thing. Mm-hmm. Right? So I know it could be really confusing for some people.
I'm gonna break it down too.
If you're not following along. Like, and I look at it like this. In my business, I get customers that they have money and they are willing to pay it, but they're headaches. They're headache customers. I want to fire those customers. I don't even want those customers. I will quit on those customers because that money's not even worth it. So that ROI that I'm getting from that customer, it's not even worth the ROI that I'm gonna get from a customer that is going to be a good customer and they're gonna have a high customer LTV or lifetime value. So the right customer, you will make a lot of money off of that right customer. The wrong customer, you might make money initially, but they're gonna cost you in some other way, because you're focusing so much attention to this wrong customer that you can't even give the right attention to the right customers, or the proper attention to your right customers. And that's really how it is in business. Like even now, it's like I told you I was handling a problem because I'm giving attention now to a wrong customer. Like a customer that I should not have had in the first place.
I got to delay them podcasts and everything.
Right. For that one customer. For a fool. And so that's just like, that's how, so now it's like, yo, if even, this isn't a recurring customer, but if it was, I would tell, my ops manager, because I'm telling her how to kind of handle it. I'd say, yo, cancel her future bookings. Yeah. I don't want that headache.
Yeah, I want you to repeat it a couple of times because I know everybody didn't catch that all the way. But yes, letting go of the wrong thing has a better ROI, and I want to hit on ROI. ROI does not just have to be money. It could be your time. It could be your sanity. It could be all of those things. It could be hair for all that people care about. But like, what is your return on investment of time, energy, and effort, and money? Right. And understand that all money is not good money. Yeah, because some people just they get into the business and they just take anybody with a post to either work for them or to give them money to pay them for a service.
Right.
And early on you may have to do that, but as you continue to, if you really start to scale, if you want to have a scalable model and have sanity by the time you get to this point where you scale, you have to know when to say yes and when to say no. Like for instance, in our business, we had somebody who reached out to us and said that he wanted to book one of our cars. And we were actually doing a webinar at this time too. We were going to accept him because we weren't really paying attention. But I told my dad, like, hold on 1 second. Look at his reviews from previously, because he had like a 4.3 stars or something. So usually people have a 5-star or at least a 4.9. We went to it. He had 2 different people who had left him a 1-star review saying that he smoked in the car. I declined him that same second. Like, I don't want, because if we accept him and and there's a pattern that people have. If you do it once, you're more than likely to, if you do it twice, you're more likely to do it a third time. So if he smokes in our car, that, like, we may get money for that little instance right there. And he may say he had a 5-star review, like a 5-star experience, like we always give everybody. That's cool. But what about the next 3 trips? Because a smoke smell is not something that's very easy to get out. Yeah. And now you got to go clean that car. You got to spend extra money to clean it out. You got to go to Turo and talk to them about how you had to get the smoke smell out. Now you had to go back and forth with the renter trying to say he didn't smoke in the car. You had to show all the evidence. Got to do all this extra processes because you chose to just take the small money up front because it was just like a low-hanging fruit that was hanging right in front of you.
Right.
But instead, we took that, like, declined that guy, and then we got another booking like within another 2 hours. And so you got to just like forego the money right now that you see if you see the problems that are attached to it, because all money is not good money in that sense.
Yeah.
And then that's really what I had. That was my take on it. And in the case of multiple streams, though, it's the same thing. Like I said earlier, that mobile home was making us $200 a month.
Right. We
can get a business that's making $50,000 a month or more than that, 6 figures a month, if you focus all your time, energy, and effort into that one. So what's the big issue about letting go of the $200 a month when you know the potential of letting it go? Like, it's right now, it's a liability in a sense because there's nobody in there. But in its best case, it's making $200 a month. That's the most it's going to do for you.
Right.
Let go of that and go build a business that can make you $20,000 a month and scale it to $100,000 a month. That is the whole essence of it.
And that's, I think, at the end of the day, that is what people have to take away from this. Like, it's not about, like, we're not up here trying to tell you not to get into real estate. We're not trying to tell you not to do any specific thing. I just want you to be aware of what is the best use of your time. Like, what's the best use case of your time? Like, really be very selective of what you give your time to, and understand what is ultimately you. Understand what your long-term goal is, and understand how what you're doing now relates to that.
Facts.
Like, if my long-term goal is to get 100,000, let's keep it real. Like, if my long-term goal is to get $100,000 per month in compensation to myself in my business, if I'm running a business that's getting $50,000 a month already currently, how is me doing another business that is generating me $200 a month getting me closer to that? Like, why am I even giving attention to this thing? That's like I'm not even gonna say that. What I was gonna say. Some people might get offended, but like that, don't give attention to the wrong thing. Because at the end of the day, like I said, even if you're doing the right thing, but if you're doing the right thing and the wrong thing, you're pretty much canceling them out in a way, right? Because now your energy is put into two different things. One of them is the wrong thing. One of them is the right thing, right? So it might as well. You might as well be doing nothing at that point, because the wrong thing is going to affect the right thing at some point. Like there's no way. Like I said, I'm still seeing side effects of a business that I liquidated months ago. The trucking business. I'm still getting letters in the mail saying that I owe a debt collector because the driver went through a toll that I didn't know about. So it's like that wrong thing is still eating me. I'm still paying some debts from that. So quitting it as soon as possible is going to be the best scenario for you. So that is the main reason we decided not to buy real estate at this point in time. It's not because the real estate is necessarily the wrong thing, but it is the wrong time for it. So we're going to continue to focus on the businesses and scale the business to the point where it'll be nothing that you can do except buy real estate with all the money that you're making. But if I'm sitting here trying to, get a property to cash flow me $200 a month, which, by the way, we're talking just primary cash flow. If you're talking like, building wealth and stuff like as well, I would say to look to do something a little more passive than real estate, like investing in the stock market or investing in cryptocurrency or something like that, because that will build wealth probably at a faster rate. If you just in terms of like appreciation, it will build wealth faster than real estate can actually get you there, because real estate, you either got to force equity or you got to wait to appreciate. And in order to force equity, which force equity essentially means you are taking something that's undervalued and making it market value. So in order to do that, it's one of two ways. You either can rehab it or you bought it at a very steep discount below market value already. And either of those things require very high, both of those things require very high amounts of your time.
Yep. Because
it's very hard to find something that is undervalued today. So that's going to take time to find. And it's very hard to, it's not hard, but it takes a lot of time to renovate a property to become market value. You can't do those things passively. Like, unless you have someone else doing it for you, then maybe. But most people aren't at that level yet to have someone else to do it for them. So we're talking strictly to people getting started. So yeah, if you're looking for something more passive, that's why I said, look, my strategy right now is, now we're in the business phase. Money from the business is funding. Now it's going to fund cryptocurrency and my life insurance right now. That's going to build my wealth in the meantime, while the business is going to continue to generate me more and more revenue that can ultimately be used to put back into real estate. Mm-hmm. So think about things just very practically, bro. Because a lot of people, what happens is you try to just do things just because someone says this is what you need to do. Think about it in your situation. How does this actually get you to your goal? I'm not going to sit here and go, do all these things because I'm not going to do all these things because someone said that I need to be investing in real estate. I need to be in the stock market. I need to be in crypto, and I need to have a business. How does that get me to my goal? My goal is financial freedom. My goal is to be making $100,000 a month net to me. How does all those different things get me there? One of them will get me there. All of those things at the same time will not get me there. So I need to pick the one that's going to get me there to my goal. And then once you're there, you can take the now extra money and get into other things that you want, because at that point you've developed systems. It'll be passive, and now you can get into other things. That's all we're trying to say with this whole thing.
Man, you sound so boring and mundane. Nobody want to do that. Let me get into my 5 businesses. That sounds way funner, right?
I mean, look, I'm not, do what you want. Just don't, I don't want to hear nothing about nothing whenever it goes wrong.
I mean, I'm 1,000% on board with this philosophy, and understand, like, the money that you make from the business, especially early on, it may not be enough to like get the sizable investments that you really are going to want. Like, we're not going to build a business up and make 6 or 7 figures and then go back and buy another flip. we got to go get apartment complexes, and where you can really see both the appreciation and the cash flow from that. And so in the meantime, even with the money that you make from the business, I would say that you're necessarily using the money that you make. Is like if you put into stocks, crypto, or life insurance, that's essentially just a glorified, just a strategic savings account. Like I just need somewhere where my money can grow while I continue to build the business.
Right.
And it's not I'm not going to go do stock options with it, because that's going to take more time. And I remember I said something either last week or 2 weeks ago. Some people value time and some people value money. People who value money typically make less of it than people who value time.
Yeah.
You try to keep your time free so that way you can spend more of your time to do high income producing activities, which is essentially going into your business, trying to find that one little piece of information that we talked about earlier to scale your business to the next level, because you know that your return on time for any little piece of information that you apply to your business is going to get you an infinite return on money in comparison to trying to get maybe another cleaner, or another customer or something like that, or trying to do a whole other business to get another $200 a month.
That's foolishness, bro. Straight foolish. It's foolery to have 5 businesses, bro. Foolish. Don't do it.
So you're talking to 2020, Alex, with that one. It's like you talking to yourself.
Yo, you know that meme? I should have did that one. Now I'm thinking of one of my TikTok skits. I'm gonna do it now. The one with the new one where they talk about future
no,
me.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
So you did it one time with getting a job offer. Yeah, you should redo it.
Yeah. I don't know if so. People know from Interstellar, one of the greatest movies of all time. Matthew McConaughey in the movie, he was in the Tesseract, in the 3-dimensional portal, and he was like looking at his past self, like leave his daughter to go into space so that they could go, find a new universe. And he's like banging on the portal. He's like, don't go. And the dude looks around, he still goes. And so that's a whole trend on TikTok now.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking
that's a good one.
That's what I need to do. Me looking at my future self, telling him not to start 5 businesses at once. Because it's real, man. That's legitimately how it feels now. Because now I'm paying the price off of those things. I'm literally every time I think I separate from it, I'm like, I'm here. I got something for you. Just a stupid pest. So
I just had PTSD thinking about the expenses that we've got hit up with these past couple months from these past couple flips.
Bro,
it's the same thing. It's like,
how much have we put in that just over the last month? Probably
we
10,000
owe money back right now for all that. That could be money that's going towards just getting more cars for us, going towards getting our own personal lot. There's so many things you could be doing with that money, but you got it tied up in previous mistakes.
Yeah,
I'm not saying don't make mistakes either, but just be mature enough to know when to cut it off.
That's the biggest thing from this whole episode. So yeah, that's what we wanted to kind of get into. I'm glad we were able to get into that because it wasn't looking good earlier. But yeah, so what we do now is transition to our last segment. Second to last segment, and then we'll wrap up the show. So let's get into it.
How can I be successful? How can I follow the path that someone else has laid for me to be successful?
Ask the Monopolizers.
So this week we have one question from a anonymous individual. We'll leave it anonymous this week. They asked if we could go back and change anything, in our journey so far, what would it be?
Essentially very similar to one of our Fast 5 questions, but actually a great question, because as we continue to go along this journey, we continue to learn new things, and some stuff is undesirable now versus how it was before. Myself, man, even though I suffered for those 2 years at Purdue, I would still not change anything. Crazy enough, I thought I would want to change something, but just thinking about it, I wouldn't change anything, because I think I've learned something at every stage of life, and I'm able to just pick out all of the lessons, and I'm able to apply those to my situation now, even though the whole thing may not have been ideal. It's essentially like taking a course, but only find one little piece of information and take that and run with it. It's kind of what I did with Purdue, for instance. But if there was the lowest point or the lowest thing on the list, it would probably be going to grad school, but it was still, I would say, worth it for what I learned from there.
Right. And for me, I would say from my, I don't have really anything that is I made a mistake that I would want to change. I think the biggest thing is I wish I did this and not instead of not doing it. And I always say it's just learning about house hacking earlier.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, it doesn't even necessarily need to be financial freedom. It's just learning about house hacking earlier. Because I think if I learned about house hacking when I was 18, like, I would have had definitely be a lot more wealthier just because that was in 2014. That was when properties were significantly cheaper, and buying a property to house hack and live in college. That's, by the way, yeah, when I went to college, man, that would have been a game changer just in the sense of, like, I would have graduated with crazy equity on one property, and then that would have, probably, I don't know, it could, the thing is, it's like when you change one thing, it could change a whole lot of other things. So that's like,
path changes.
Right. But in theory, let's say, because, I mean, I don't know how people feel about it. But I generally believe there's probably there's multiple versions of us in other universes that are living different scenarios of life, literally. Like, it sounds crazy, but, like, I've actually looked into this, and I legitimately, not going to get into it, but I legitimately believe that this is something that I actually legitimately, it's not even conspiracy. I just legitimately believe, because, I mean, we're so small in the universe that, we're not alone. But anyways, that is, like, something that I legitimately believe. So, anyway, for me, like, yeah, if I could have changed that, I would have, house hacked when I was 18, because, again, the reason I say this is not because, like, it's because the money I already had, like, my parents paid for school, so it was like the college rent for all, years that I was in college was paid for, like, they paid for it all up front. Like, literally, you pay for 12 months of rent up front. Mm-hmm. That $6,000 each year could have bought at least 2 properties.
Facts.
2 properties at least for that I could have house hacked and not paid rent and built equity on and had depreciation and had the loan paid on. So, dude, it's like not even, that's like always going to be like, again, future me looking back at, I might do that one, that TikTok too.
You do that between our waiting time.
Yeah. That's really how I'd be feeling. So, yeah, that's what I would change. So if you are 18, if you are listening to this and you have, a good chunk of change saved up, or maybe your parents got you, something for college, you got a savings fund, college, house hack as soon as you possibly can. I think you need to be 18 to get a mortgage. So at least be 18. But yeah, that would be what I would change. My kids will be doing it though.
Yes, sir.
So what we'll do is our last segment of the show to wrap it up. The financial freedom action items, take it or leave it.
We gave you the game. You can take it or leave it.
For this episode, I mean, for me, I think the biggest takeaway that people should take or leave is the fact that, I mean, there's so many, because I'm even thinking of before we got into the topic, Facts. But I'm going to just keep it strictly based on the topic because it'll be too much. I think that the biggest thing is that you need to understand when is the right time to quit the wrong thing. When is the right time to quit the wrong thing? And this is my by the way, even if you're only doing one thing, it might be time to quit that one thing and try something else. So just understanding when is the right time, wrong time. But especially if you're doing multiple things, understand which one you need to quit and when is the right time to quit it. Like, as bad as like it hurts me, because I'm telling you, I love real estate, man. I love real estate, and it hurts me to like say I'm not going to buy a property for the next year or so. But that's just what it is. That's the reality of it. So that will be my takeaway.
I had to think about it a little bit, but just going back, I mean, it's very, very much in line with what you just said. But I'll just say there's 2 ways you can go when you meet an obstacle in a business. You can either pivot or you can persevere. Let that decision be dictated based off of what your end goal is. If your end goal is to achieve financial freedom at an early age, and you have 5 different businesses, and one is doing really well, and other ones are just extra, that's when it's time to pivot. And to pivot from all of those and focus in on which one is working best and scale that one. That's a pivot moment. Persevering is if you're in your main thing, and you come up into an obstacle that you haven't seen before, and now it's time to persevere over that obstacle as opposed to pivoting because you hear something that you haven't seen before. So understand the difference between when it's time to pivot versus being time to persevere.
There you go. So at the end of the day, you can take it or leave it. But that is it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. By the way, Should have said this earlier, but be sure to. Actually, someone told me on YouTube, they were like, "Hey, by the way, you don't have to tell us
at the beginning of every
episode to go rate." I'm like,
I saw that same comment. Say it every time.
If I don't have to tell you, why you ain't doing it? So, anyways, be sure to go leave a rating and a review. Shout out to y'all that y'all been cooking on the reviews this month. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
So keep leaving the rating and reviews. We're gonna keep climbing. We're gonna keep building. We're gonna become the #1 business podcast. I promise you, it's gonna happen. Just give it some time. It's gonna happen though. But we need y'all to continue to leave ratings and reviews and share this podcast. I want you to share this with 5 people. This episode right now, share it with 5 people that you think need to hear this. So shout out to you. If you do leave a review, shout out to you if you're still listening. But anyways, that is it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, we'd appreciate if you rated us 5 stars and left us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can find out more info about us on Twitter at the Monopolizers or IG at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there that'll keep you engaged, so be sure to check that out and share those posts. But until then, we're out of here.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.